Good morning, everybody, worldwide users on Facebook. Let me update you with a final update of what's going on. This is for all the media that I have contacted as well. For all of you out there worldwide, first of all, I want to say thank you for all your patience. As proud as I am as being Latino, Brazilian, from my country, and being Latino, and as proud as I am as being a homosexual, being gay, not only as being the victim, but for everybody worldwide out there, I want to say thank you very much for all your support. As I've contacted, my focus now is to get this all exposed out, and the way to do it is have the media notified, which I've notified the media, and I'm notifying every piece of media, not only in the state of California, every city, but in every different state of California, and also every country in California. So that's what basically I'm doing, is notifying them. I want the media to pound this. What I'm about to tell you, folks, is the truth. Plus the sheriff of San Francisco, Vicky Hennessy, I left on Facebook. Plus Paul Macaroni, sorry, pronounce your last name wrong, and the former sheriffs of San Francisco. But the current sheriff, Vicky Hennessy, also is going to get a hold of this too. As I told you about the crooked cop, Lieutenant Stephen Tilton, here's what's going on, okay, that you need to know. San Francisco Sheriff's Department has an investigative team outside the jail. The sheriff's deputies work inside the jail, but they also have, for the city and county of San Francisco, they have a unit, and that unit they work with is actually a special unit that deals with the city and county of San Francisco for the outside. So any problems, there's two jurisdictions. There's the San Francisco Police Department that handles the city, and of course, as you know, the Sheriff's Department handles the county, the city and county. Well, San Francisco is city and county because it's all in one shot. Lieutenant Stephen Tilton and some of the deputies, like Deputy Oka and some other deputies, they work inside the jail. They don't work for the investigative unit outside the jail. But let me explain to you what the connection is. Jorge Nicolas Castellanos was my ex-boyfriend from 1996 to 1998. Then I broke up with him. He worked for what was called Supervised Pretrial Release. It's a nonprofit organization here in San Francisco that works closely with the court system, superior court system, for people that do drugs or for a program to release them out into a program. Okay? Well, Jorge Nicolas Castellanos goes inside San Francisco jail and he interviews inmates for these programs. That's the connection between Lieutenant Stephen Tilton, that Lieutenant Stephen Tilton knew, and so that other deputies knew about who Jorge Nicolas Castellanos was, because he worked for Supervised Pretrial Release here in San Francisco, California at the time. However, let me explain to you how the jail system works. There's a department, when you get booked in, you get fingerprinted, live scan fingerprints. When you get live scan fingerprints, you go through this process. And then after you go through this process, when you get live scan fingerprints, you get taken to a department. And that department is called classifications. What it is, that department has to deal with housing, for housing inmates. And it's for the purposes because they want to separate, when they house inmates, they want to separate gang members, because norteños and serranos are enemies and such. They want to house you in an appropriate way. Well, San Francisco Sheriff's Department has booked in Peter Michael Spaniard over 100 times. And during this process, San Francisco Sheriff's Department Classifications Department has classified, has housed Peter Michael Spaniard and has classified him as a Sereno. Lieutenant Stephen Tilton knew, and so did the San Francisco Sheriff's Department, they knew that Peter Michael Spaniard, date of birth 8/10 of 1968, was a Sereno all this time. Again, it's called classifications. That department is specifically for where they house inmates. So they have all the information, the rap sheet, the background, prison history, what his crimes are, his previous crimes, his history, and all that stuff. Okay, here's the connection. During the time, as I told you, that Lieutenant Stephen Tilton is a openly gay male, and same as some of the deputies in San Francisco, Lieutenant Stephen Tilton had sex with my ex-boyfriend, Jorge Nicolas Castellanos. In 2000, Jorge Nicolas Castellanos connected with Peter Michael Spaniard. That is when Jorge Nicolas Castellanos turned to an MS-13 Sereno. It was back into 2000. That was the connection. Okay. All this time, Lieutenant Stephen Tilton knew that Peter Michael Spaniard, and so did the other deputies that were working inside, this was an illegal operations and investigations. San Francisco Sheriff's Department, like I said, has a department. And a department, basically, they have deputies that work inside the jail, okay? And then they have deputies that work outside the jail. And as they work outside the jail, okay, their job basically is to do investigations in the city and county of San Francisco, okay? So that's why the investigative unit inside San Francisco Sheriff's Department had no idea what was going on. Lieutenant Stephen Tilton and the rest of some of the deputies that were working inside the jail were protecting Jorge Nicolas Castellanos, and they were doing this illegally outside the jail, doing the investigation outside of the jail. That's why the sheriff didn't know. That's why nobody else in the investigative unit didn't know what was going on. Everything was illegal. That is why there was no court order. Excuse me. That is why there was no court order at all. Everything was illegal, criminal, okay, with San Francisco Sheriff's Department. That exposes all this criminal activity out. As I said, we have a bad, dirty cop. A bad, dirty cop. Lieutenant Stephen Tilton, San Francisco Sheriff's Department. That's how the operations was run. So all this time, there was a boy that was dead that I was falsely accused of my ex-boyfriend's criminal activity plus Peter Michael Spaniard, when they already knew the identity of Peter Michael Spaniard when the Sheriff's Department classifications unit had housed him and classified him as a Sereno inside San Francisco jail. Folks, that is all the evidence update for you. And for the news media, now you got a bite of this, okay? And you know now you can come. My contact information is on Facebook. My address, my phone number, my email. You can contact me. I want this to get media exposed out. There is dirty cops out there. And the criminal activity that was so bad that turned me into a victim. Thank you very much, folks.